Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Saturday, September 26th, 2020. Fire potential impacts for the next few days are shown here. We're really just highlighting some impacts today with wind coming into mainly the central and eastern portions of the Great Basin. Relative humidities are up across the north, but still quite breezy, and across the south, relative humidities are in that critical zone with those strong winds. Red flag warnings have been issued for that event and significant fire potential as well. No significant impacts really expected for Sunday into Monday. Behind that cold front, cooler temperatures filter in region-wide. Smoke for this morning at the surface is shown here. Really just looking for some limited smoke in place over western and southern Nevada, and then some across central Utah as well. By this afternoon, it will decrease across the north behind that cold front as it sweeps through the northern half of the Great Basin. Same story for the upper levels. Still have some smoke in central and southern Nevada this morning, but by this afternoon, some of that should be pushed a little bit further south and increase over the southern tip of the Great Basin. Past 24 hours of weather is shown here with limited precipitation really just right along the border with the Northern Rockies geographic area in the central Idaho mountains, and no lightning activity. Fire activity was quite light yesterday. Still saw some ongoing activity on our larger fires, especially this one here over northeast Utah and then over far western Idaho. Precipitation for the past 7 days is shown here with the observed amounts on the left and percent of normal on the right. We did have a good little amount of precip come through over mainly the central Idaho mountains and into eastern Idaho and western Wyoming. Some of these values across eastern Idaho were above normal for the time of year, but still very dry over much of Utah, southern Nevada, western Nevada, and even up into portions of western Idaho. ERCs have been on the downward trend across the north as the cooler, more moist air has been in place there for the last couple of days. We'll see that cold front move further south today, which should decrease ERCs at least temporarily for central and northern Utah behind that front. The ERC trend lines shown here show those values for northeast Utah, those mountains still right near the record historical levels, much above normal for the time of year. And this little front that's coming through will decrease temperatures, but with no significant precipitation, these values will remain elevated into the foreseeable future. Further south over eastern Nevada, southeast Nevada, those values are also near the historical records for the time of year. Our satellite loop this morning is showing that broad, long wave trough in place over the northern Rockies and the great Pacific Northwest, bringing some of that moisture into central Idaho today. And we'll see that cold front move through further south through the Great Basin today, bringing slightly cooler temperatures behind throughout the day today and into tomorrow. So by this afternoon, still seeing that long wave trough in place, and we can see that cold front continuing to make its way through the central Great Basin. We have high risk issued for southern Utah. Winds will be gusty further north this afternoon, but relative humidities will be higher in those areas. So we've highlighted southern Utah as the area where we'll see the combination of critical fire weather conditions. A closer look at the winds for this afternoon does show those very gusty conditions over eastern Idaho and into western Wyoming and even northern Utah. The relative humidities will be up in all those areas with some gusty winds over southern Utah where we'll see lower relative humidities. Precipitation is still expected to continue today over mainly the central Idaho mountains and possibly western Idaho and then into western Wyoming as well. By Sunday, that trough is quickly moving off to the east, and we'll begin to see drier conditions move back into the Great Basin. Still northerly flow, so still mild conditions, mild temperatures, but drying region-wide. No high risk is issued for Sunday. Some of those gusty winds will continue behind the front, especially over southern and central Utah, but relative humidities will be up, and we're not expecting critical fire weather conditions. Precipitation decreases across the north with maybe just some lingering showers right along the northern boundary. On Monday, the ridge continues to strengthen across the entire western U.S. for continued drying conditions, and we'll begin to see our temperatures warm up. Generally light winds are expected for Monday, but we will still see some gustier winds out of the north over southern Utah. Relative humidities begin to really decrease once again over central and southern Nevada and southern Utah, with slightly higher values across the north. 3-day precipitation totals are shown here, with best chances for precip coming mainly to the central Idaho Mountains, right on our northern edge, and then also to western Wyoming. Utah and Nevada will remain dry in the short term and the long term. By Tuesday, we can really see that ridge remaining in place over the entire western U.S. Not much changes in the weather pattern as we move into next week, with the ridge remaining the dominant feature. We'll just see temperatures warming to above average for the time of year, with low relative humidities in place. As that ridge continues, we'll see our dryness levels increasing back to the brown category for all of Utah, Nevada, and even up into the lower elevations of southern Idaho. This pattern continues through the work week, with the ridge remaining in place, warming, drying, and generally light winds. That'll take us all the way to the 2nd of October. And so the 7-day totals really just highlighting what we're expecting for today over the north. And the extended forecast continues to call for above normal temperatures along the west coast, including the Great Basin, and below normal chances for precipitation over much of the northern Rockies and the northwest. And this concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.